with a roll call.
Alderperson Robinson.
Present.
Hertz.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Poulos.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Healy.
Here.
We have a quorum.
With that, could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And then a moment of silence. Thank you. And now I'll try not to forget public comment this time. Rookie. Right? Thank you. We have a couple people. I have a Jody.
Oh, she was for last time.
Oh, all right. We're good there. And I have Kathy Bazari.
Hello, my name is Kathy Bazari, and I have been on the Project Now board for almost 20 years. And I understand there's going to be some comments and concerns coming up very later, and I would urge your support for Project Now. It's a wonderful organization. Thank you.
Ma'am. With that, we have item number 6, minutes from,
Minutes from the September 25th, 2023 City Council meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
we have a second, and this is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Number 7, we have update Rock Island. We have a couple things. First, we have free leaf pickup begins next week. Free leaf collection for residential refuse customers begins Monday, October 16th through Friday, December 8th. Customers may provide their own approved paper yard waste bags or use bags provided by the city at no cost. Yard waste bags are now available at the Public Works Department, South Rock Island Township Assessor's Office, and Saukey Golf Course. Celebrate like a Bavarian this weekend. The 3rd annual Oktoberfest celebration is this Saturday, October 14th, from noon to 9 p.m. at Hauberg Estates, 1300 24th Street in Rock Island. The event, modeled after the famous Oktoberfest in Munich, is co-sponsored by the Hauberg Estates and the German Heritage Center. Admission is free from noon to 4. Admission from 4 on is $25 per person at the door, or $20 if purchased in advance. Kids 12 and under are free. Thanksgiving meal volunteers needed. The Martin Luther King Jr. Center will host its 34th annual Thanksgiving meals on November 17th, 18th, and 19th. Enjoy a delicious, free Thanksgiving meal, either curbside or delivery. The center is currently looking for volunteers to help with filling to-go containers and the curbside service. For more information, please visit mlkcenter.org/events or call 309-732-2999. I would also like to say that we got a letter from Mr. David Anditch, basically congratulating an Officer Holmes. Brandon Holmes helped out down at Augustana College on 38th Street and 9th Avenue. Handled this matter with expertise, maturity, and professionalism. In addition, Officer Holmes could not have been more kind or helpful to either us or anyone else in this matter, including giving a ride home once my car was towed. So that was a nice little letter that we got. I think that is all that we have. So now we would like to move on to item number 8.
An ordinance regarding a speed hump policy and application, second reading.
Motion to pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussions? No. All right. Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
All right. Item number 9.
Consent agenda items A through D.
Move to a print consent,
can do both
Move
jobs.
to approve consent agenda items A through D.
That's easy for you to say.
Got me on.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 10.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding payment in the amount of $19,800 to CDM Smith Chicago for a PFAS planning study.
Move to approve proceeding with the proposed study and payment to CDM Smith.
Second.
We have a second. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item B, report from the Public Works Department regarding bids from the removal of Longview Park Tennis Courts, recommending the bid be awarded to H. Koopman Trucking and Excavating of Moline, Illinois, in the amount of $31,774.52.
Motion to award the bid and authorize city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion?
Due to the I gotta do my spiel. Due to the nature of my employment, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
John, do we know a time frame? Do we know a time frame for the project? I know this is just doing the removal, but we're gonna be putting the tennis courts back, right?
We're not going to be putting the tennis courts back in that area. Where it sits on the hillside with the stormwater runoff, well, to back up a little bit, those tennis courts have way outlived their useful life. Useful life of a tennis court in our region is about 15 years. They've been there coming up on 35-plus years. We've done the necessary crack repairs and things that we could to prolong that. If we were to put courts back in Longview, it would be in the flat area. Towards the northwest end of the park, and we're currently exploring options for grants to do that.
In regards to the timeline, we haven't met with until the contract's approved, we would need to set up a pre-construction meeting, but I fully expect the contract to be completed by the end of the year if it were approved tonight.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Alderperson Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item C, report from the Public Works Department regarding a contract award to Five Cities Construction Company of Coal Valley, Illinois, in the amount of $588,557.69 for the Augustana Sewer Relocation Multi-Use Path Area Project.
Move to award the contract and authorize city manager to execute the contract documents and authorize the Public Works Department to execute the necessary change orders as needed.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Yes, Ms. Judith?
Keep switching.
Hey,
Mike, so, quite a bit higher than the engineer's estimate. We had allocated $400,000 in ARPA. Do we know where the extra money's coming from to pay for this?
We have it coming out of our wastewater fund because it is a sanitary sewer project. We had asked for our additional ARPA funds, but that wasn't granted at this time.
Okay.
So we would prefer that them come from another funding source besides our wastewater fund.
Is the wastewater fund in deficit? or-
It is currently, yes.
So we're just adding to the deficit?
Correct. However, the risk of delaying this
Oh, no,
project
no.
is significant.
No, we cannot. No, it needs to go forward, but, okay. Thank you.
And that was my question, Mike. We're done with this after, hopefully?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I know, right? My bad.
There's always a risk of failure of pipe.
Okay.
For this specific pipe, no. This will
Okay.
be, beyond our lives
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Can vote on this one.
No, I cannot. I need to recuse myself from this vote due to the nature of my employment.
Where were you at before?
Judith had a question.
All right. Roll call.
Alderperson Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item D, report from the Public Works Department regarding an agreement with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, or IDNR, to lease 2 parcels of land at the Hennepin Canal for the amount of $2,400.
Motion to approve the lease agreement and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 11.
A, report from the Fire Department regarding a resolution of an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Mutual Aid Box Alarm System, or MABUS Master Agreement, effective January 1st, 2024.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert. And Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 12.
A, report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the CY 2023 budget, increasing the Justice Agreement Grant, or JAG Fund 241 revenue and expenditures by $11,152.80.
Motion to approve the budget adjustment.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
B, report from the Finance Department regarding the firefighters and police pension funds actuarial valuations as of January 1st, 2023.
I'm gonna have to recuse myself because I sit on the state board.
Move to approve funding both pension funds at the statutory minimum required contribution.
Second.
We
And
have a
I'm
second.
gonna recuse myself because I sit on the state board, which sets the actuarial assumptions.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else with questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item number 13.
A, report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the discontinuation of the Targeted Area Repair and Rehabilitation Program.
Move to discontinue the targeted area repair and rehabilitation program as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion?
I've been on this council long enough to see the birth and now death of this program. It's wonderful.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was cool when it started.
Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item B, report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the addition of Appendices A, General Rehabilitation, and B, Emergency Rehabilitation to the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Program Manual.
Motion to approve the addition of appendices A and B to the Community Development Manual.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Ms. Judith?
This is the program manual one, right, Miles? Correct. Okay. So you have so the costs under both of these programs, both the general owner occupied one and the emergency, the cost cannot exceed $24,999. So is the typical average cost like below that, or do you even have that data?
Yeah, so that's true for general, though emergency, we talk about that we can go over that number. So if there's a real yeah. So there is a distinction there, but that number actually just its point of reference is that when you cross that threshold to the 25,000, the full lead-based paint abatement requirements from the feds kick in.
Okay.
And that can suddenly dramatically increase the costs of projects in a way that would make the program less workable.
Yeah.
So that's actually where
Okay.
that number comes from. The cost of projects is highly variable.
Okay.
Highly variable.
So, under section 10, the household income and the household definition, and then it's repeated in both sections, like under the documentation that's required. So, for example, it says all, I think anyone over 18, their income has to be included. So for example, if two sisters are living together but one owns the house, you have to calculate both their income,
Correct.
correct? But then when you go to the other section where the documentation is, it talks about landlords and developers. And I'm like, rental properties can receive assistance?
No, but some of the language that we have included in this is a lot of statutory language that we've copied and pasted into the document at the recommendation of our HUD rep. So there is a little bit of repetition, and you'll notice the further down into the document you get, the more kind of jargony it gets. That is at the recommendation of our HUD rep. So we recognize the document in some respects, and you'll see this repeated in just the main manual itself, which the council previously approved. Some of it's a bit repetitive or jargony. We're taking direct quotes out of statute. So some of it's like obviously applicable, some of it looks a little bit out of place, but that's just because of the copying and pasting.
And then when you get into the record retention period, so like the owner-occupied program, that's a 5-year forgivable loan program.
Correct.
Right? But you only have to keep the records for 4 years?
That is I'm not sure if I'd need to look at the section you're looking
It
at.
doesn't have a page number.
Yeah,
either.
I'd have to look at that to answer that question accurately.
So, yeah.
But
And-
once, the program operates as a 5-year forgivable loan, so even if statute would to say if we had different rules, like it was a 3-year forgivable loan, we'd keep it for 4. We're gonna keep it for 5 because that's how we've structured it.
Well, okay, I'm like, how can you start throwing out
Right,
records
so,
before
so
you've even
HUD will
finished?
give you some flexibility, right? Like, they won't tell you it has to be a 5-year forgivable loan. We've made a local decision to make it that, because that seems reasonable for us. So we're gonna keep documents for those 5 years, and at the end of that 5-year period, if the person who received the assistance at the beginning of the period has stayed living in the house per the terms of our agreement, we release the lien on their house, they're free and clear, and then we destroy the records. Right, in accordance with all state and federal law. But like federal law might say we only need to keep it 4 years from the point of the project taking place. I hope that makes sense, that slight discrepancy.
Imagine my confusion reading this. So, yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
Miles, I had a few questions,
Yes.
comments, I don't know. One, so how, is it just first come, first serve? What is the selection process for applicants?
So it depends which program we're talking about. I'll start with emergency because it makes a little more sense.
Okay.
If someone comes to us with what qualifies as an emergency, okay, then they bump up to move as quickly through the process as possible. There is no waiting list, and we basically just move through the steps as quickly as we can. That includes the actual inspections and steps to confirm that there are those emergency conditions and develop the scope. That includes the income verification, the appropriate bidding process, environmental review, all that jazz. But we move it as fast as we can. So emergency, pretty straightforward. Again, though, limited categories of emergencies. In the general program, then it's a waiting list. So people can come and apply at any given time, but then it's first come, first served through the list. As you can imagine, that list varies in length depending on the types of projects in a given year we might have and the funding available in a given year. A lot of other variables too. Are we getting good responses on bids and what have you? So in that sense, people can sit on that waiting list for quite a while. We do require every 6 months that we re-income verify anybody sitting on the waiting list. Occasionally, that bumps folks off because things have improved. Also, at that point, we might find that they have gone ahead and had their issue resolved, or they've moved as a result of that issue. So we kind of move through that list. It changes a little bit, but more or less, it's first come, first serve.
Did staff or the CDC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did staff or the CDC give any thought to how certain parts of the city or certain populations may have less ability to be aware of this program, and so we should be more thoughtful in identifying maybe certain neighborhoods to prioritize or different populations to prioritize? First come, first serve is easy if everyone is aware of the program and has equal access to the program. But as we know, I mean, our West End assessment project is all about increasing civic capital, recognizing that residents in certain parts of our city do not have the same level of access to city programs. So was there any thought put into having an alternative structure to first come, first serve that may not be the most equitable?
So two things. Interestingly, this same question was asked when I was providing a guest lecture to the American Association of University Women this past Saturday. And it was a very good question. I gave a presentation on housing rehab and what the city's efforts in that regard are. It's very tough to figure out what the equitable approach to picking certain areas was. TARP was kind of
Yeah, we
a
just killed
test run of that, and it proved sort of ineffective because we were still getting a lot of applicants that we couldn't easily like prioritize using some sort of area basis, right? Plus, in terms of getting the word out of the program, I mentioned there's a wait list. Right now, I don't know the exact number, but there's over 100 households on that wait list. How do I prioritize the people already on there based on such a criteria? There wouldn't be a fair way to do it. We've talked with HUD about this, and what they've kind of put forward is just the best practice that most communities doing programs like this use is what we're using now. It's basically that first come, first serve basis, where we don't try to base it on a geography, we just base it off of an individual household income. We're always open to continuing to evaluate that, find better ways to do it. To me, my personal view is that our goal should be to continue to find ways to build greater efficiency and timeliness into the way these programs are run, get more projects in and completed every year, and get people moving through the list faster. Getting the word out about it is certainly one thing, but that you know about a program and then can never get up to the top of the wait list or get a timely response for your project is another. So not a satisfactory answer, I know, but it's the
Right.
truth.
Yeah, I think Economic Growth Corp has a points system where if you have certain demographic information or something like that, you get points, and then
Yeah, and they're using different funding sources for different types of projects, so I don't know the specifics. I would point out, since you mentioned growth, we try to refer back and forth with other agencies, be it Project Now or Growth, depending on what kind of funding or programs they have available. So just a tangible example of this, sometimes folks will apply to us seeking a permanent ADA ramp so that they can get in and out of their home more easily. We usually just immediately bump them over to Growth because they have a program that can do that much faster than we can. And then Growth in turn will have someone come to them and say, hey, I really need, this substantial improvement to my electrical system. They bump them back to us because we'll probably be able to get to them much more easily. So we work with our partner agencies, so if I can move someone off of my list and onto someone else's list that's shorter, we do that.
okay. Well, I guess I'm not particularly satisfied with first come, first serve. It is not an equitable process, in my opinion, but I understand staff's constraints. So I guess it is what it is for right now, but perhaps as we move forward, we can continue working on this.
Yeah, and staff is certainly dedicated to always trying to find better ways to do it. And again, TARP was an experiment in that geography approach. It didn't work out the way we had all hoped.
Right, yeah. Second thing, contractor requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Two items that we require of contractors for our responsible bidder ordinance that I noticed was not included in this is OSHA 10 training for all of their employees and participation in a U.S. Department of Labor approved apprenticeship program. I would like to include both of those requirements for contractors participating in this program.
They might be in the main program, or,
Oh, and not the appendices, but the
yeah,
program
yeah.
manual?
I think because you mentioned that, I think the first time we were reviewing that document. So just keep in mind, everyone. So the way that we were approaching this was we did the manual.
Right.
That's the big main part, right? And then as we develop programs that would be CDBG funded, there'll be appendices to that manual. So we're in the process of adding those appendices. I can double check for you. If that is not there and we need to go back and add it, I would add it there so that it just covers everything.
Okay.
But let's
Please.
go look at that and then I can follow up.
Please do. Thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
C, report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding an amendment to the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, Program Manual, Section 6, Subrecipient Application Process.
Move to approve the amendment as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Yes, ma'am?
Miles, could you just tell us how you're improving the notification to stakeholders about, this particular
The whole
thing?
planning process and everything.
No, wait, this is subrecipient. Is this the same one as,
So what this, so
time?
what this item is for anybody who might be watching, when we adopted that new program manual, you'll recall we opened up the public service funding
Oh, yeah.
part of
What is
the,
that?
part of the CDBG budget so that anyone with qualifying stuff could apply for it. And we set the window for application as the month of January. The feedback that we got from interested parties and from the Community Development Commission and from City Council was, thank you for doing that, we appreciated that, but it's a little too short of a window, a little too late. Could you do it for a longer window of time, a little earlier? So all this amendment does is it moves that window of time from January forward to all of November and December. So it goes from 30 days later to 60 days earlier. In addition to opening up that window, though it's not specifically a part of this action tonight, staff are planning, if this is approved, to hold some info sessions to try to make sure that anyone who's interested in applying can get a full rundown of what all is involved. Again, it's more similar to what the other CDBG entitlements next to us in Davenport and Moline are doing. We are also on top of that, and I sent some information about this out to all of you, doing some sessions just with the public to get their input more generally on how CDBG funding could be better used. And so we'll be sort of doing a general series of info sessions for just the public and any and all stakeholders to provide feedback. But then, assuming you approve this, we will also be doing some workshops so that anyone who's specifically, say, a nonprofit seeking service funding, they can also attend that and get sort of a rundown of what that would all entail.
but are you going to actually send a notification to all the stakeholders? Because I remember a couple years ago, we
Yes.
were holding these meetings virtually.
Yeah, and I thank you for attending them. I hope you'll continue to attend. The goal is to try to get the word out as much as possible. We will, of course, be working with Sarah Hayden to try to do that. If there are any stakeholders that we have not seemingly identified, we welcome council members sending those to us to make sure they're on our list. That list is sort of always growing because there's always more stakeholders we haven't thought of, so please check in with us. If someone is talking to you and said, oh, I haven't heard about this, send us their contact information. We'll continue to grow kind of that listserv and that kind of outreach effort.
Do you have all that contact from, I know it's been a couple of years, but
Yes, and we've been trying to add since then. Again, that effort will never be over because there's always new and more stakeholders to add. So
Right.
our goal is to try to offer a few different avenues to reach folks and try to cover as much as we can. Again, this is a work in progress. We're trying to continually improve. We went from not doing any of it to 3-4 years ago and making really very little effort to get any feedback from anyone, and we're trying to move towards a process where we can get as much feedback as possible. So again, any suggestions on how to get better coverage, please let staff know.
Excellent. Anyone else? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Item D, report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the creation of a redevelopment agreement with Project Now, Inc. for the purpose of providing renovation assistance to the Star Crest building.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $250,000 in ARPA funds for Project Now, Inc. to support the renovation of the Starcrest building and authorize staff to negotiate a redevelopment agreement.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion?
I need to recuse myself, and I kind of want to explain. Can I explain that? Okay.
Absolutely.
So there's confusion with my part also with this. I sit on this board as a member, as Moses Robinson. So ethics-wise, I have to remove myself from this vote. There's been some question about some other boards that I sit on. I'm appointed to those other boards, so that allows me to still be engaged. And not only just me, this is for any other council member who is appointed to a city commission or board. It allows me to still stay engaged. So for this particular issue, I'm not even able to speak on it or vote on it. So I just want to clarify that, because I know there was some confusion. I was confused until I got confirmation and clarification from our council on how to proceed with this because of the ethics that goes along with this. So just want to clear the air on that.
Because Moses is sitting on it personally, not as a city.
As a council person.
As a city, yep. Jenny?
Yeah, so for those who may be listening, and for the people here who are probably wondering, how did we get here? I just kind of want to give a little bit of overview to answer some questions that have been posed to me. So, first of all, this is not a grant, and there were no applications because it's not a grant. So there was nothing to apply for. The city reached out to Project Now on this. So I just want to clarify that misconception first, that there were no applications, so nobody needs to feel that they were slighted or weren't communicated with on it. But how we got to here, there's a little history here. So a year ago, we had a meeting where we invited many people in the community who touched or were working with homelessness. So one of the things that the council decided to do with our ARPA money was to allocate money for tourism, for mental health, and for homelessness, because those were issues that we felt very strongly about that we wanted to address. So we formed groups to meet with those, and I was tasked with leading the homelessness group. And so we met last year in October, had a great discussion, very, very well attended. All the stakeholders that we invited came. Lots of discussions. I mean, some things unrealistic, like putting up pods for people to live in, or tents, or, lockers at different places. But we opened it up to all ideas. There was nothing that you couldn't say. Towards the end of the meeting, we were asked how much money is the city going to allocate. And when we said $250,000, the tone of the meeting changed a little bit in that is a drop in a bucket for a very large problem. And so the result and resulting discussion of that was, because it is such a small amount, it really can't do much work, so it should probably go to rental assistance or shelter services. And so then I met a couple weeks later with the city manager and the ARPA manager to discuss about this meeting, to discuss the discussions we had, and then to talk about, this is what was suggested is the only thing we can do with this money. Now, keep in mind that when the city and the council put our strategic goals together on this ARPA funding, we talked about making sure that it was invested in something that wouldn't just disappear in a few months, that would have some type of lasting legacy to it. I believe the term transformational was probably overused in those discussions, but anyhow, along those lines. It was also discussed that this is Rock Island ARPA money. And so it needs to go to businesses doing business in Rock Island, located in Rock Island, and that would benefit Rock Island people. So those were some of the strategic goals that the council had come up with. So when talking with the city manager and the ARPA manager, to use this money for rental assistance or for shelter services would not achieve the goal of wanting to have something that would make a lasting impact, that we could look at 3 to 5 years down the road and say, this investment in this resulted in this program, process, service that is continuing on today. So because there was no firm way, no real path on how to do it, for the past year, as the person appointed to head this group, I've been researching, learning about homelessness, investigating all the agencies that came to that meeting, anybody who touches the homelessness situation. I've read through the Silos to Solutions plan put out by the Quad City Housing Council. And so in their plan, they do cite some things that have to do with homelessness. I turn my pages here. So their goals for 2030 were preservation, to maintain, improve, or rehabilitate 95% of existing affordable units to ensure availability and quality. They were also protection, to reduce eviction rates through coordinated efforts to provide tenant education, advocacy, and minimize unsafe living conditions, distribute homeless prevention funds, and resolve landlord-tenant disputes through mediation. Provision, provide services that help individuals and families maintain housing stability. So that came out of the Quad City Housing Coalition in the Silos to Solutions. When you continue to look deeper, there is an organization or a group called the Continuum of Care that is funded by HUD. And so HUD, where's my thing out here? So the Continuum of Care is overseen by an 11-person board of directors. The board has designated Project Now to be the lead agency of the Continuum of Care, as well as its HMIS administrator and fiscal agent. Currently, Ron Lund serves as the president of the board. So when you look at the Housing Coalition, when you look at HUD and the Continuum of Care, it all points to homeless prevention. And as I further started looking at homeless prevention and who does what to help people stay in their homes, who does what to help people who, through medical situations, divorce, loss of a job, find themselves suddenly homeless, who in Rock Island works with those people to try to prevent homelessness and to rehouse them. And all roads pointed back to a connection with Project Now. And so looking through all of this and finding out where can we take this, which to me $250,000 is a lot of money, but to put it into perspective with trying to fix homelessness and poverty, it's not. So how can we take this money, this ARPA money that we designated for homelessness, and put it to the best use possible for the most people focusing on Rock Island? And that is where we came up with All Roads Connected to Project Now. So as I said, Project Now did not ask us for this money. We reached out to Project Now and offered it to them. And we offered it to them by saying, if we gave you $250,000, what would you be able to do to help with homelessness? And at the time, they were looking at purchasing the Starcrest building, and they were going to purchase it anyhow and move in there anyhow. When you look at grants, you can always apply for grants. I mean, I've been in the nonprofit world for decades. You can find grants for operations. Sometimes you can find grants always for programming, but you rarely can find grants for bricks and mortar, for redevelopment, for renovations. And so through a process of discussions with Project Now, with the city manager, with the ARPA manager, and also I think with Community and Economic Development, it was decided this redevelopment agreement would be the best use of us giving the funds to Project Now, which will allow them to add more people, to expand their services, to grow their outreach, and to help more people in Rock Island than without that money. And so that's one of the reasons that this has come up and is on the agenda tonight. And I just don't want anyone to think that, you know, there's anything nefarious with this or that we backdoored a deal with Project Now and left other nonprofits out. But as I said before, we reached out to Project Now. They did not ask us for this. And this redevelopment agreement is very similar to the one we just approved last meeting for Friendship Manor. And so I urge my colleagues to vote for this so that we can take an empty vacant building in downtown, recreate it into an office, add more people that are going to help Rock Island, keeping our ARPA dollars in Rock Island, a Rock Island business that will help the people of Rock Island. So, thank you.
Anyone else?
I had a few questions for Reverend Ford, if you could please come up. I'll just start by saying you have my complete support on this project. You've had it from day one. I'm going to vote yes.
Thank you.
But I'm selfishly interested. You're about to be well, fingers crossed, you're about to be well, I guess you will anyway, but anyway. You're about to move into a very important part of our downtown that we're investing a lot of money, and as you know, we have created this new Rock Island Downtown Alliance, and so welcome. You're already in the downtown, but welcome to the core of downtown. To that end, you're going to be working out this redevelopment agreement with city staff. Just a few things that I wanted to bring into it. I don't know if it will be eventually included in the redevelopment agreement, but some thoughts with my work with downtown, you being a new neighbor, some opportunity for synergy. One, I know that conversations have been had, but I would encourage you to continue dialoguing with the Rock Island Downtown Alliance about a partnership in community navigating. I think Project Now is going to be a great partner for that work that the Downtown Alliance is hoping to do. So I just encourage you to continue walking down that path. Two, there is a part of that property that, as I understand, the city would be very interested in doing some dumpster enclosures. This is not fun, this is not sexy, you know, keeping people off the streets. This is kind of more brick and mortar stuff. But if there's a way to work with the city and the Downtown Alliance to achieve a long-term goal that the city has had of trying to clean up the dumpsters in downtown, to consolidate some of them potentially on a portion of this property, I would really appreciate your support for that, again, if it can work out. I just know that's something that we've thought about for a long time. And then the last thing, this is a big building. I know you're going to fill up a lot of it, and I'm sure that you already are thinking of it. But if there's any way that we could work together to identify a more community-facing, well, maybe not community-facing is the right word, but a creative way to use that first floor space. You are going to have your offices and you're going to have your intake, but if there's a way, you know, the first floor is really where the public is going to see the most of. And if there's a way that we can work together to have public art there or something, I would appreciate your cooperation on that. So no questions, I'm not grilling you or anything like that, but just a couple of ideas that I had that I wanted to insert into the conversation with the redevelopment agreement. But thank you for all that you do, and let's get this done.
Thank you. If you would like for me to respond now, I'd be more than happy to.
You're more than welcome to if you'd like to.
Thank you. The Navigators have always been a conversation with us. We are not new to downtown. Actually, we own 4 properties there now.
Right.
We own housing and commercial properties. If anybody has a vested interest in downtown, it has been us. We rent those properties out to other businesses downtown. And so how the flow happens downtown is equally important to us, always has been. The dumpster conversation came up early. For those that don't know, we did not run, as Alderwoman Swanson said, to the table because there were dollars put out. We've been in dialogue with the owners for 9 months. We're not new to this.
Right.
We've been discussing and dialoguing, working through drafts and layout plans. Currently, every office in the building is occupied. All of our senior staff that is in Rock Island as well, along with our 55 vehicle fleet of vehicles here, will keep those vehicles in the city of Rock Island rather than looking for another city to move to. We'll take the senior staff, move them over to our location so that our seniors, who, by the way, don't qualify for our program because of income, they qualify for our program because of age. So that, just for the record, these individuals come from other cities to be a part of our senior programming because of the way we treat seniors and the sensitivity we have for them. They'll be having their congregate meals there. By the way, those are not soup kitchen meals. And I needed to say that out loud. These are meals paid for meals by our wonderful partners that are prepared by a chef and sous chef at Friendship Manor. We invest almost $500,000 in those meals. So certainly that is not thin soup and a loaf of bread. I wanted to make sure I dispel some of the myths about who we are, because so many people don't understand what we do and what we add to the business community. I'll end by saying we've already invested over $1 million in small businesses here. Our agency has a revolving loan that has just ended as of 4 months ago. Well, we invested back into nonprofits for loans to the tune over $1 million. We invest hundreds of thousands of dollars to small contractors for the work that we have done in weatherization. $500,000 with a friend like Friendship Manor. That money could go somewhere else. We keep it in our community. Our agency is committed to not only the bottom line, as we are a business, and that site, as you correctly identified, will be our corporate headquarters. Corporate headquarters. It is not intake for a homeless shelter, with all due respect to our friends that operate them. We facilitate the governing over 15 counties here in Rock Island. I'm proud of that. And we move federal dollars in that direction. We're not an agency that does not know how to handle new responsibilities. 14 government and state agencies provide funding to us. And you can ask Miles and his team how difficult it is to govern $21 million of federal funding. How many times we're raked over the coals. My budget doesn't grow in less than 5 years, 70%, just because we have a winning smile. We have direct, measurable outcomes. We run up and down the state to Chicago and Springfield. We are government and governor appointed to commissions and advisories and think tanks, and we're helping to solve the hardest problems. I know what our responsibility is, and I'm proud to do that. We have a wonderful board of directors, and we see this new opportunity just 2 blocks from where we currently are as a bright and shining star to anchor that portion of downtown, to do our best work, to put people back on that corner with disposable income, helping shop there and engage the community. We have the MD Greens building. When I get there, we'll open that next. In that space, we'll be developing people to work in hospitality and serving wonderful food out of it as a cafe. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Me too.
Anyone else? Judith?
Reverend Ford knows that I completely support all the work the Project Now does. We've had many great conversations about
have.
shared visions and ideas and programs. What I object to right now is the characterization that this is similar to the agreement with Friendship Manor that we approved at the last meeting. This is not true. Friendship Manor, when they were putting together their plans for their $12.5 million capital investment, they came to the city. They had to submit a written proposal, business plan with detailed figures, numbers, all kinds of data pulled together for them. It was thoroughly vetted by staff before it even came to council. Then it had to go to the legal department, that and all the things. Then the redevelopment agreement came to council for approval. The motion was changed so that this agreement does not need to come back to council for approval, that whatever gets negotiated by staff has just been rubber stamped if this goes through. Now, there are so many questions that still remain, have not been answered. At least when I asked the city manager, it's not happened. If this were to go through our normal economic development process with a formal written application and a business plan, a proposal of exactly what's being done with all the costs, you have to get the bids also on what everything's going to cost, and then come back to council after the redevelopment agreement has been negotiated and legal has signed off on it, that would be a different story. But that is not happening here, to my knowledge. So unless an agreement comes back to city council for approval, I cannot approve this. I'm sorry, but I cannot.
I appreciate your candor. We now know where you stand on the matter. We have had many conversations about such. I don't fault alderpersons for their commitment to do what you do for the city and on behalf of the city. But I do want to make sure that individuals know that who we are, and by the way, I know Friendship Manor very well. I was on the board when we were drafting up the first set of documents when ARPA dollars were released. I served as the vice president. For 9 years, I've been a part of that board. So I know Friendship Manor very well, and I know the process. But as you have taken a stance that says what you don't believe it is, we have another alderwoman who has already committed to saying what she believes it is. I'll let the chips fall where they may in that process. But for me, what we do for the city, I know who we are. In a city that is challenged with a depopulation reality that I'm not proud of. We have deep and profound challenges with stifling poverty that hasn't gone anywhere. We have a perception of violence, and talked to the chief. We had a very candid conversation. And he said, well, you know, so many people say you won't be able to end poverty. And I said, Chief, they said the same thing about crime. So what are we going to do? Poverty is not, for me, something that is permanent. It's something that can change. We don't just serve people in poverty. Show me another agency that moves people up and out the way we do. It is not who we think it is standing in line down there. Rookie officers with uniforms on, military personnel at the base over here, individuals in each one of your wards. I can drop the data. Working class people. And so I don't want to be characterized with my friends at Friendship Manor as individuals will be forced to choose who is better, they or them, or who did it right. I will say this, judge Friendship Manor by what Friendship Manor does, and judge Project Now for what Project Now does. If people have questions about who we are or what it is that we do, I learned years ago that one should never try to answer their own questions. Because we have a question, we should seek out the individuals that best have the answer. I'm used to being raked over the coals. If you ever had to be an owner of federal HUD dollars, or Department of Health and Human Services dollars, or dollars that are coming out of the Department of Economic Commerce and Opportunity, you would understand why I say I welcome the scrutiny. Our audits reveal such strength. Our commitment reveals that. I only ask that we get a fair shot and not be prejudged and not be deemed unqualified, as I have heard rumor and myths about a first-class building, Class A, that many people don't want us in. We have always rolled out the red carpet to our business partners downtown. I didn't start this work to be able to say that we are looking to cause challenge with our friends. I have been a pastor in this community for over 25 years. I didn't start serving this community because I got Project Now as a business card. That church right across the street in its properties, it sat vacant. I relocated our whole church from Moline to that location. The properties that we have, we make sure that we do our best to keep them up. All I'm saying is judge us fairly, and not on myths, not on misinformation and misnomers. We're grounded, we're healthy, and we're fiscally solvent. Our ask has never changed. We did not come here asking, with all due respect, for permission. We already had decided we're going. We did not come here asking for pity. None of us came from my agency with a palm up.
Can we
I'm
please
going
wrap?
to end. I'm going to end.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We came here with our hand extended in partnership. And if you check the record, since I've been executive director, how many times have I reached out to this city and extended an olive branch to partner in something that we had done the hard work for and welcomed our city friends in? The staff have been wonderful to work with. Many of you, we've had deep and profound dialogue. I can only go as far as individuals on the other side will allow me. If it is a true partnership, then speak to me so that we can work through the difficulties. I'd rather you talk with me than about me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I do want to clarify, Samantha, for the funds that we gave for the tourism, the $250,000 that we gave out, did we have those come back for council consideration?
No, if you're referencing Backwater Gamblers,
Quad-City Arts and
QC
the-
Arts,
yep.
and then, no, those agreements, one's already been executed,
Okay.
and then the other two are in the
And so this falls
process.
under the same type of category with those funds that
Those
we
three,
had
yes.
allocated? Yes, okay, thank you.
Call the question?
Yes, I guess I want to just state my stance as well, since I didn't really get a chance to say anything. You know, my concern is absolutely not what Project Now does. They do amazing things, and I don't think anyone up here questions that. My question is where? And then part of it is we are funding ourselves to lose tax dollars. I mean, it's a major chess piece on the board. It's a $26,000 a year property tax generator with, I believe, 6 to the city miles?
More like 4.
More like 4? Okay. So my concern is can we negotiate if this passes that they do have to pay property taxes? I mean, I would suggest that.
So by putting funds into the remodeling of the building, I just want to point out something that is mentioned in the memo itself, which is that the long-term value of the building is sustained, all right? So I do just want to put out kind of the longer horizon, that is not just about the annual property taxes we might be getting in the next few years, but also a building that I think we could all hope would be there 20, 30 years from now, and the long-term sustainability of its baseline value. So as any building that we might contribute funding to for a similar type of project where there's a remodel, it's not just about the tax revenues that are generated at any one point in time, but the long-term projection of those tax revenues through time. Just something to keep in mind.
But if it's a nonprofit that doesn't pay any, it doesn't matter what that,
I just wanted
Yeah.
to respond back to that very quickly.
Very quickly, please.
Mayor Pro Tem. What I'm suggesting is $26,000. I'm not saying shoo to that. It's a sensitive matter.
I understand.
But when I write a check to the city for gas for $64,000 every year, that I could choose to take it somewhere else, this past year I wrote $214,000 not to some agency or not to some vendor. I wrote it to the city of Rock Island to pay back water bills. Many of them will be still on the debt books that someone else would have to cover for. So I think those $214,000, the $64,000 of gas, to me, that should be a good balance. And by the way, for those that don't know, I would have to use admin dollars to cover paying taxes. It is not very kindly looked upon by auditors when you're a nonprofit to pay taxes. The other side of that is that we're gold star with administrative costs. $21 million, 95 cents of every dollar goes out the front door, 5% admin costs. Show me where that happens in any other business or nonprofit.
Thank you, sir. Let's do a roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Robinson. I'm sorry, you abstained a while ago. Hertz.
Aye. Aye.
Gilbert.
Nay.
Swanson.
Aye.
Healy.
Nay.
Motion carries.
Item 14.
A, report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request to install residential parking type B on the south side of 9th Avenue from 11th Street to the east of 1120 9th Avenue, first reading.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any question or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
and Healy.
Aye. Item 15.
Report from the Mayor's Office regarding reappointments to the Ethics Commission, Housing Authority, and Police Community Relations Commission.
Move to approve the reappointments as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or?
I do have a comment. So,
Ms.
I mean, and I'm not opposing any of the recommendations, but I hope that there are two members being put on the Ethics Commission, and I know them both, and they're both lovely people, but they've been on for 20 years. There are other commissions where there's been people on for 20, 30 years. Yes. So I would like us, moving forward, to look at new people, different people, maybe term limits. I mean, I think 20 years of being on a commission is just, it's a long time, and I think there's enough people that might bring a little bit of diversity, different ideas to the commission. So I would just like us to potentially look at term limits
And
moving forward.
I don't know about term limits, but I can speak on behalf of the Mayor's Office because we've had recent discussions exactly about this. Sometimes it's hard to find other members, but that's definitely something that he's acknowledging. And I know Miles, the CED area, is also working towards that. But adding term limits for some of our commissions we already have, and we could do that for others as well.
Yeah, so I know that some have term limits
Yep,
already, but
yep.
some don't. So none of these have term limits yet, the ones that are for appointment. Because I had the same concern.
Yeah.
For some of the stuff that we have, I mean, we stated it's hard to find individuals to serve.
Exactly.
A lot of it's the way we're communicating that it's open. A lot of people just don't know, or we get an email as council to try to get people involved. But as far as the community, it's really hard to get that information out. So again, it goes back to our communication plan. We have to find a way to effectively communicate to get this stuff out to people. We can't just use social media and Facebook. That's not viable when you're looking for, especially with some people with some of the backgrounds that you're looking for. We have to find an effective way to do that.
Oh, and I would agree that with that, I would give kudos to Sarah recently for like police community relations.
Yeah.
We're real struggling for that one. She actually wrote a press release, and WQAD picked that up for us. So kind of more reaching out to the partners, I think, is kind of the key there as well.
What?
Going on the news or, something like that, doing Mondays? So,
Yes.
the local Mondays.
But we absolutely have to look at term limits.
Yeah,
Oh, we'll convey the message to the mayor.
not me.
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Everyone all right?
Laughing at the jokester over here.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz. Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Keep you on your toes.
I know. Item 16.
Report from the Fire Department regarding a request from the Rock Island Firefighters Association, IAFF, Local 25, regarding a request to utilize the intersection of 30th Street and 18th Avenue for their annual MDA Fill the Boot fundraising campaign from Friday, October 13th through Sunday, October 15th, 2023.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Poulos.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
B, report from the city clerk's office regarding a request from Alderperson Robinson to close 9th Street between 6th and 7th Avenues on Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, from 4 to 7 p.m. for a community event with sound amplification.
Since he had put, I'm going to make the motion, since he suggested it. I'll make a motion to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or comments?
Make him sweat.
I know, right?
Oh, no, Moses. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Free
You can
candy.
come out and so this whole event, this is
Yeah.
probably like my 8th year doing this event. What it is it's providing a safe space for kids during the trick-or-treating times. We have an influx of vehicles, there's things that can go wrong. So during the trick-or-treating times, we provide a safe space for the kids to come and get candy. So typically what they do is have residents who would typically decorate their homes, they come and decorate their vehicles and allow the kids to come through. Last year, I think we had close to 400-something kids that attended. The goal is to keep them on site instead of having them come and go. So wonderful event. I invite everyone to please come out if you can. Bring your vehicle, bring your families, and you'll see a lot of kids who are happy to have bags full of candy.
That's awesome. Sounds wonderful. Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hertz.
Aye.
Gilbert.
Aye.
And Swanson.
Aye.
Now we have 17 other business. I do need to state something on item number 18A. We will not be going into closed session for the first one cited, 5 ILCS 120-2, C2, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives. We will only go in for the second one there, so. And on another note, I will chime in. We have a new fresh face up here. It is our new city attorney, Miss Leslie Day. We didn't even challenge her. She hasn't even talked on her first night, so.
Yeah,
Is
you
there
went
anything-
easy on me
I know.
today.
The first memo.
I know, right? Is there anything you want to say? Introduce yourself a little?
Yep, I'm Leslie. I am very excited to be here, and I hope to get to know everyone as we go forward.
Awesome.
I'd like to make a comment about the United Way event that happened this last week. I was glad that I was able to immerse both the police and fire chiefs as a matter of fundraising. I gave them equal bidding. I dunked them both. But I understand that a very credible amount was raised, and it was nice to sit around and talk to the employees who appeared to be having a good time. And our excellent chef, where is he, in the back there?
Rob?
Yes, making the lunch for the employees and the event. A job well done. And again, I would commend Samantha for the work that she did on that.
Fantastic.
I would move that Rob would be the future cook going forward with the United Way events.
I don't know, John. I think
we gotta get you
back next year.
We're going to send him out to Highland?
He should be the sunshine manager. Does all the great parties.
I know.
Do we know how much was raised yet? Ish?
So far, just from that event, based on the dunk tank and the bake sale, we're at almost 900, compared to last year, half of that amount. So we've doubled what we did last year.
And a special thanks for the people who were baking.
I'd Rice Krispie treat. It was delicious.
Hy-Vee baked for me, so.
Anyone else for the good of the cause, as they say?
Miss, have we approved trick-or-treat hours?
No.
When are we trick-or-treating this year, chief?
We're all going to Moses's.
Yeah,
No trick-or-treat.
my kids,
For last year, I hope it didn't change.
my children demand to know, chief.
Yes, this came up at our department head meeting, and trick-or-treating hours will remain the same as they have every year. So,
What is
Which
that?
are?
let me make sure I got it right here. I believe it's from 6 to 8, or 5 to 8, excuse me, 5 to 8. The
here,
chiefs
here,
just
5
talked
to
about it, so it's funny, I just looked up my text before you guys called me, or brought it up, so.
Thank you, chief.
Update Rock Island, 5 to 8 for
5 to 8.
trick-or-treating. Anyone else? All right, we're on to item number 18.
Closed session, 5 ILCS 122C11, litigation when an act against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis of the finding must be recorded and enter into the minutes of the closed meeting.
Move to go into a closed session for the section cited.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Alderperson Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
Hurt.
Aye.
Gilbert. And Swanson.
Aye.
We are now in closed session.
Be right back, chief.
Samantha, you look very